We are gaming. Okay. As always, have a few announcements. So next Tuesday will be a Game Jam prep meeting, since the Game Jam is coming up real soon. We'll just go over some general tips on how to do a Game Jam if you haven't done one before, like how to work with a team. Maybe I'll do like a small tutorial on how to use Git, because that's always like something people get stuck on, so I might actually do that this time. So if you want to learn how to use that, that'd be a great tool to be able to share assets with each other. And we'll go over some other useful stuff. If anybody like is concerned about anything that they want me to talk about next week, just like throw it in the Discord server, I'll add it to the slides, and we'll cover stuff. Otherwise, if you haven't paid dues, and you want to, please do so. Jamie's in the front corner, and come talk to him at the end of the meeting. Take cash or check, he has change. Well, yeah. Sweet. Okie dokie. So, today we're going to talk about game modding as well as modding support. I personally don't really have much experience with modding support for games because I've never really done that, but I will touch on it briefly at the end. Otherwise, we're going to focus mostly on modding and what type of like benefits and non-benefits it has. But like first and foremost, modding, generally speaking, modding is a community thing. So if you have modding in your game, typically the community is going to be what's driving it. It's kind of up to you as the developer to actually create the like base for it, so that they can actually have some creative freedom. Because there's always like unofficial modding, you know, like hacking into stuff, which some people do, like the Wii, for example. Nintendo definitely doesn't want you to, but people do it anyways. Yeah, but sometimes developers allow it or even give support for it, which I'll talk about a lot of those games today. So, yeah. So first, I'm going to talk about some games that do it well, and games you've probably heard of, hopefully. But that's where the Kahoot comes in. So I'll have a Kahoot question, and then I'll like talk about it briefly. I don't know. First question. Maybe. What is the most popular game with official modding support? It's not Fortnite. It isn't in Bedrock Edition. Technically, they have behavior packs and stuff, which are technically modding support. In Java Edition, I don't know if it's technically official, but technically Bedrock is. All right. So, yeah, Minecraft is a pretty obvious one. I think everyone has at least heard of this game, so I'm not really going to take too much time on it. But there are a lot of mods, and I think modding is also one of the huge things that really made Minecraft prosperous, especially in its beginning stages. Part of it is because it's already a sandbox game, which is meant for like creative freedom and stuff, and modding just adds to that. But yeah, like CurseForge alone already has over 100,000 mods, and that's just on CurseForge. I mean, there's tons of other modding like databases and websites as well. But yeah, huge community. And like I said, Bedrock has support, but it's not like full creative freedom. Java, you have full creative freedom, but like Minecraft doesn't really, Mojang doesn't really, you know, put too much emphasis on it. But yeah. Next Kahoot. Easier. All right. Roughly how many Skyrim mods are there? Yeah, so there's roughly 130,000. All right, yeah. So yeah, Skyrim is another game that has a large modding community behind it. Some of the mods we will not talk about at the club, but I think you probably know what those are. But yeah, it's somewhat officially supported. They just have like rules in place with what sort of things that you should be doing. Otherwise, yeah, it's a very popular game to mod, and it has some things that I'll talk about later too. But Skyrim is a really good example of having mods that improve the game, because Skyrim as a whole is sometimes kind of jank, especially with the user interface. So like typically when I think of Skyrim mods, the I don't know what it's called. Yeah, Sky UI is like the #1 mod that comes to mind. And maybe Shrek Swamp House is second. But what is the most popular Terraria mod? It's probably the one you're thinking of. Hey, we got somebody with the recipe browser. Solid guess. Yeah, so Terraria is also a really good example of a game that has a lot of modding. And again, like similarity with Minecraft, it's also a sandbox game, which is also going to be just a common theme that you're going to see with modding games. And like I said, it's because of that creative freedom, and modding just adds to it. But yeah, Terraria, what's also nice about it is that it has like a nice mod launcher, which has all of the mods kind of built into it. So you can, like Tmod Loader, you can run that, and then you can run the game through it. Makes it really easy to download mods, to play mods. You can upload mods, whatever, right? And the mods aren't just limited to extra content. They also have some that just add more music or different textures or whatever, right? Quality of life is another thing. So, and yeah, nice thing about this as well is unlike the first, well, I don't know, Skyrim, I don't know if Skyrim uses Steam Workshop, but I know Minecraft doesn't because it's not on Steam. But Terraria takes good advantage of the Steam Workshop, which I'll talk about later as well. So, next Coot question. Who created Gary's mod? It wasn't my idea. So, technically Gary is correct because it's not his last name, but. So yeah, Gary's mod. Gary's mod is specifically for modding. Like there is, if you just download the game without any extra mods, it's like nothing. I mean, it's technically a sandbox, but there's bare minimum. So yeah, the whole point of the game is to mod the game, which is kind of a cool concept because that allows for complete freedom. Like people can make entire games inside of Gmod. So it's almost closer to a game engine at that point, but like not really. Huh? Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you can add like literally whatever you want. It's pretty cool. So next, how many main Fallout games are there? Is 6. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 76 in Vegas. I believe so. That's according to my quick Google search on Wikipedia. Yeah. So yeah, next game is Fallout. Fallout in of itself is already a pretty huge game, and it's kind of similar to Skyrim when it comes to mods. I feel there's lots of different things. There's lots of fixes is a good thing I should mention. One of the more popular mods for Fallout 4, for example, is the Fallout 4 patch mod, and that's all it does is fix things, and it's the most popular one. So say what you want about the devs, but otherwise there's also other mods that add different gameplay. Like there's a Minecraft mod. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it does, but it's like 2 of the games. But there's like another mod. This one changes the characters to look like anime. There's also one where you can play as a dog throughout the entire game. What's a dog doing? Yeah, which I think is kind of cool. But continuing on to the next game. What is GTA 6's release date?
No. I mean, there was those.
Yeah, but leaks aren't like confirmed. So yeah, GTA 5 is another game that is worth mentioning. These mods kind of range all over the place from adding new content, just like every other mod that I've mentioned so far. One thing I wanted to mention though is the shaders that have been modded into the game. I feel like they're definitely, like Skyrim also has, I guess, some good examples of really good shaders that they've added to the game. But GTA 5 came out with some recently that has ray tracing, and they look phenomenal. They can completely change the look of the game. But there's also like other things. There's a huge role-playing community. There's mods that help with that, allowing you to like play as any character in the game and stuff like that too. So lots of content. Next question. When did Left 4 Dead 2 come out?
That's a good game.
Yeah, I put both on there. It's 2009 is when the second game came out.
Oh, wow.
The first one came out a year prior. I think that I have two questions for this game. How many special infectors are there? There were 8. If you count the witch.
One. It says R.
Sorry, that was a typo. Next is, Left 4 Dead 2. Again, there's also a Minecraft mod for this. Shocker. But yeah, Left 4 Dead has a lot of mods. They're mostly, I'd say, joke mods. Just adding things that make the game funnier. For example, replacing all the guns with cats, which is kind of outrageous. Or in this case, all the zombies replaced with Minecraft zombies. And then you have one here, which replaces the healing animation with the California Girls dance. So, but yeah, primarily most of these are client side, which I don't remember if we put a slide for that. We did. Okay. But yeah, I'll talk about client side mods later. But client side mods are mods that only you see and not everyone else. So you could download the mod that makes all of the zombies look like Minecraft zombies, but like the other people in your game wouldn't see it. So that's just something for your enjoyment, and it doesn't ruin it or change the feel of the game for other people. There's 19, so got more like 10 more. What's the name of the Steam page for gaming? Yeah, it was really small. So yeah, Steam Workshop is something I talked about, but yeah, mod distribution. There's tons of different websites and stuff that help with distributing mods. So you as a developer could take advantage of one of these. Some of them are built just for specific games, like CurseForge is, well, I guess CurseForge is multiple. But there are some like specifically just for Minecraft, but like Steam Workshop, if you have your game on Steam, you can take advantage of it. People can upload mods, they can upload content, community content, whatever they want to it. And it helps you as a developer so you don't have to have that resource for yourself. It's there for you to use. But it's also a nice place just to pick up mods for other games if you're looking for certain things. Generally speaking, it also kind of feels a little safer when you're downloading them from an official website. Not saying it's going to be completely safe, because sometimes people sneak in malware, but at least then people would be more likely to use it compared to like some sketchwebsite.com. So. Okay, are there any mods that I did not talk about, or games that people really enjoy modding?
This is less of a mod, but more so ROM hacks, I guess.
Yeah.
So you know all those like Super Mario World or Super Mario 64 ROM hacks where it's like completely different games?
Yeah.
Or more like recent stuff like Project M or.
We had a club member work on them last year, but yeah. I was gonna mention ROM hacks, but they're not really legal per se, so I didn't want to mention them in the slides.
I was gonna say Rivals of Ether. That's a good mod.
Yeah. Oh.
That's literally the only reason to play it. For Smash Bros.
Hey,
It's a good mod.
Yes.
Unturned is a very mod-heavy game.
Unturned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of that one. That one's free, isn't it?
Yeah, it's free.
Yeah, it is.
I think so.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Karen.
Sonic Mania, technically?
Yeah, there's some mods.
Isn't that just a collection of games though?
No, it's a game that just happens to share like the same levels.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You mentioned modding the Wii, and I thought of custom track trains for Mario Kart Wii.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's really good. Is it like
Yeah, if you mod the Wii, that's like one of the main ones you got to go with.
tracks in the game, but 10 or something?
I bet like Guitar Hero has mods.
Yeah, Guitar Hero is a really good one. I mean, there's also Clone Hero, which is similar and stuff. Yeah. The Sims. Oh yeah, I'm surprised we didn't even mention that one. Sims has a lot of mods too.
City Skylines without any.
Really? I've never played it. Yeah.
Blades and Sorcery.
Blades. Hmm.
The lightsaber mod.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, actually, I'm curious now. Raise your hand if you've ever played a game modded. It's like most people. Okay, that's fine. All right. So now that I've talked about just some general games with mods, I'm going to actually talk a little bit more about like different types of mods and a little more technical. But now we're back to Kahoot again. What is a form of modding that does not need programming? Technically, the word it should be phrased shouldn't need programming.
My bad.
Yeah, generally speaking, you shouldn't have to program stuff for texture packs. If you are having to, then the game is probably designed a little wonky. But otherwise, like patches, generally speaking, if you're fixing something, it's got to be with the code. Optimizations, same thing, and then network support, like it's all dirty work. So yeah, programming heavy mods. Generally speaking, I guess I should say before I start talking about all these different things, is mods can have a multitude of things. You're not limited to just like one specific type of thing per mod. But generally speaking, you can kind of group mods into different categories, and those can be mixed and matched too. But programming heavy mods are typically, well, what the name suggests. This can be anything from like a framework, so like something like Optifine, where other mods can be built on top of it. So they like basically take the code from the game, they either optimize it or create like lots of helper functions and stuff that help other people then create mods. There's also just general fixes to the things that the developers haven't fixed. Optimizations kind of in the same boat. Networking, you can add multiplayer to games. Like I put a screenshot of Elden Ring at the bottom because I know there's a multiplayer mod that's I think is probably pretty popular, where it adds up to how many other players can go into it, a lot. So because the base game doesn't have that.
It does.
Oh, it does.
It's a different. It's makes it so that like you basically it's seamless. So like you basically when one player dies, it's not like the other player like gets kicked from the lobby.
Oh, okay.
It's like cooperative summoning in like regular Elden Ring. So like you basically can summon someone help you fight a boss or something.
Yeah, you can like show up in someone else's world as like a shadow.
Yeah, but like the multiplayer mod, you're like actual characters.
Yeah, it's basically like you can play simultaneously. You're
Oh, okay.
basically the main player.
Yeah. It just adds more to it, but yeah. All right, next Kahoot question. What form of mod contains visual elements? Technically 4. Yeah, so like any of these is a visual. Should be pretty straightforward. User interface stuff on the screen, shader makes it look pretty. Texture packs. So yeah, visual mods. I mean, typically, mods that add new content are going to have visuals as well, duh, because they kind of have to. But there are some mods that specifically focus on it. Like I mentioned, I think both of these earlier. You have Skyrim, which has like the UI mod. There's actually multiple of them, which make everything like easier to use. Generally increases playability of the game. And then there's also like things that just make it look pretty, like shaders. Which actually, does anybody want to see the video? I like put the link in here. But just look how pretty it is. If you've ever played GTA, it's not like this clean. Next. What type of assets could be added into an audio-based mod? So yeah, music or sound effects. The other two don't really. So yeah, there's also audio-based mods. These don't really have as much content per se, but there are stuff that add just more music to the game, or you can make changes in it, change different audio levels if somebody's unhappy with how loud or quiet something is, or if the music doesn't play often enough, they can add stuff for that too, or just more sound effects. Also, you can have like joke things in there, like replacing all the music in Terraria with the Breaking Bad theme song. Or Vine Boom for Pistons for Left 4 Dead 2. So yeah, this is a Minecraft mod that adds realistic sounds. So it's supposed to echo, you can kind of hear it. It's kind of hard to hear. What is an example of a feature in a content-based mod? Yeah, I mean, you could technically argue that any of these is content, but like to differentiate it from the other mods, content would be like new stuff. So yeah, there's also mods that add just more stuff, and like I said before, like they also have to have the audio and visuals, and sometimes they even change the stuff of the base game that just kind of make it match the other new modded stuff that they're adding. But generally speaking, it's anything from adding new levels to new weapons or items, to also new bosses, or like literally anything. And sometimes you can even change the genre of the game in such a way, like you take a sandbox game, add a bunch of horror elements into it, make it a horror game almost. So
I love Minecraft. Changes
yeah,
in
this
playground.
this tier list is awful. I didn't come up with it.
Nothing could possibly, okay, I agree with the story sucks.
I don't know who made this. I just found it on the internet, okay? But so now we're gonna talk about the dangers of modding. Oh, the bad parts. But first we have a Kahoot question. Woo! What is dangerous about modding? Yeah, so hopefully this one is pretty straightforward. So yeah, first and foremost, a very important thing is malware. Any mod that you download, generally speaking, these mods are made with like Java or even like C or like some programming language that generally has access to do almost anything on your computer without you knowing, which means it can have malware in it. So and it's very easy to assume that a mod is safe. Like somebody tells you to go download it and play it because they played it, and then like, oh, it's probably fine, but like, you know, maybe the malware doesn't set in right away. Or it's from like a website, you're like, oh, it's the official Minecraft website, it should be fine. You never know. So sometimes you just kind of have to use your best judgment, like, and I don't know. It's kind of a guessing game. Generally speaking, you're probably okay, but that's something to think about. Devs could notice you in a not good way. I'm not saying this is ever going to really happen too often, but if you make something that the devs aren't happy with, you could get in trouble from them. Cheating is also another big thing. Pretty obvious, like people can make mods to cheat. Wall hacks, aim hacks, giving themselves items. It's basically anything. There are ways to help prevent that in multiplayer games. With wall hacks, it's a little harder. When it comes to like giving yourself resources, that's a little easier to defend because you can have like a safety system check in place when you send data back and forth. But with the wall hacks, it's all client side. It's really hard to defend. And another thing is that it can make it a little more prone to crashing. You know, once you start adding so much stuff to the game, it's going to slow down. So, but yeah, this one here is an example. There was a GTA mod that was kind of funny where people all the planes in the game would fly up into the air and then they would crash into you. It's kind of funny. People would download it. Then somebody was digging around in it, trying to optimize it, and found out that there was a bunch of malware in it. So like that's a really fun feeling when you have it downloaded. But yeah, there's other mods that have done similar things. So on the flip side of things, what about the positives of modding? So what is a positive of modding?
It's the same question.
Okay, so you could argue that it's a positive to make it easier to cheat, but it's not generally not a good thing. But yeah, some good things about modding. First and foremost, it's really good for as a developer. It could help you build a sense of community. Because modding is if that's something somebody's really interested in, that can get them easily hooked into your game and even like drive other people to come play your game if they have a mod that's cool that they want to share with their friends or other people see it. Yeah, great way to build a community. It's also kind of fun if you get into it yourself. You can learn about the game that you are working on, learn how it works, maybe learn how to code better or draw better or something like that. Devs might notice you in a good way. They may be like, good job, that's super cool, I'm so glad you added to the game. Yeah, whatever, so yeah. This is something I want to touch on quick, but like actually having modding support in games. You have official support and unofficial support, which hopefully these are a little straightforward. Native or like official support is like the developers actually provide some documentation, give you like a guide, and have an easy way to implement mods, like import mods into a game. Terraria does a good, well, Terraria didn't, I don't think, made Team Mod Loader, but they like endorsed it, so it's kind of official. But other games allow it. And then there's the opposite, right? Unofficial support. So this is more often than not called like hacking, because it's not really. Modding is like generally seen as like okay, good thing, and then hacking is like not good. So, but yeah, unofficial. Sometimes it's a little jank because you have to kind of get around the things that the developers put in place, and sometimes they just don't like it. Yeah. So some tips for adding support to a game if you were to actually do it. And this is just kind of from personal experience. I guess I can make it full screen temporarily. So I've done a little bit of modding myself, and I think it's important that if you want to add modding to one of your own existing games or add mod support to a game, try to mod a game yourself if you haven't already. It's not like the most vital thing, but it does help you understand generally how the like process should go, and it can also let you see like what sort of things do I not like about this, what sort of problems did I run into, and then that can help guide you to help create a better experience for your players to mod your game, because then you can know like, oh, I couldn't figure out like what this function did. Well, then you can make sure you have all that for yourself, or maybe there's a tool you're missing or something. So. And this here, the game that I did mod was called Logic World, and it is just like a 281 in a game if you've taken that class. But I thought it was really tedious to go through all the text files and add everything manually, so I made like a Unity project that just like let me visually edit the files, which I thought was kind of cool. But so yeah, try to make it easy. Sometimes it's hard to convey everything to other people that are working on the project. So I already mentioned documentation, like that's a huge thing. If people don't know what your stuff does, they're going to get discouraged. They might not try to mod it, and then it's like, what's the point? But sometimes it also helps to add support for a scripting language on top of whatever you're writing the game in. So for example, Lua is a common scripting language used with like C or C++. And this is particularly good for games because it has permissions built in, so you can give people access to certain things, and that helps reduce the amount of malware in games. So, and yeah, try to create a guide or tutorial just to get people started. The other users might make more stuff down the road. And yeah, like I said, there's no correct way to do it. Every game is different. Like you can mod Minecraft and then you go mod Skyrim, and it's going to be completely different. Like you're not going to have much overlap other than maybe how to code or how to make art. So try to do what makes sense for your own game, and only add it if it makes sense. Generally speaking, like I said before, though, sandbox games are a great example of games that can have mods, just because there's already so much creative freedom. But if you want to, if you think it would benefit your game, go for it. Back to Kahoot. Next. What game was a mod and is now a full game? The last three are actual trivia. Yeah, so PUBG was originally a mod inside of Arma 3. Yeah. And then after they got enough support, they took that idea and made it into a full game of their own. Same question. What game was a mod and is now a full game? So this one was Dota 2, and it was made inside of League?
It was Warcraft 3.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Dota 2 was originally a Warcraft 3 mod, and then turned into a full game. And one more, last question.
Wait, what?
Same thing. This one was Counter-Strike. So Counter-Strike was originally made in the Half-Life game, which was pretty popular for games around that time period. Half-Life was had a really well-made game engine that a lot of people liked. So there were a lot of mods for it that kind of changed how it was. Yeah. All right. But yeah, the whole point of those last three Kahoots was basically just saying, like, sometimes mods get turned into a full game. Because sometimes you add something in a game and you just keep adding and adding, and a lot of people really like it, and then at some point it's not even like the full game anymore. So at that point you might as well just make your own game, and a lot, like, I think all of these games here did that. So, yeah. Does anybody have any, like, comments or anything? Something competitive, yeah. Typically speaking, competitive games don't really have many mods in them because you want to keep it fair for everyone. But more creative, like games with more creative liberties, like those will have more mods. So if your game is more creative or like a single player game, it's viable. So, okay. Some quick reminders again. Next week we'll have Game Jam prep followed by the actual Game Jam. Also, friendly reminder, we have the social night this Friday, which I forgot to put on the slides because I'm dumb. But yeah, so those that don't know, our social night is, we'll just like get together in Marston 2200, I think. And then, so in there's a bunch of TVs if you want to bring like a Switch, anything else, an Xbox, whatever. I'm going to bring my laptop. I'll have Jackbox games set up if anybody wants to do that. But that'll be Friday at 7 to 11. It's like an open house kind of, so come whenever you want. You don't have to stay the whole time. I'll post a message about it on like Thursday or something. So,
Is it 7 to 11?
yeah.
Usually I might be able to make that.
Yep. Yeah, and like I said, you don't have to be there the whole time either. I mean, you can come and go as you please. So I will be there probably the whole time because I think it's fun. Oh, also bring Uno if anybody wants to play Uno. And yeah, if you want to pay your dues or buy a t-shirt or both, talk to Jimmy. He'll be up here. Without further ado, go forth, make games, and be awesome.